What's going on, New York Giants fans? Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Giant Topic. I am your host, Christian Cruz, and you can find us on all social media platforms under the Giant Topic. I look forward to seeing you guys there, and I can't wait to talk some New York Giants football with you guys. Before we jump into this game preview, I really wanted to carve out some time and just say thank you to you, the viewer, and to obviously you, the listener, as well, for you guys listening and not viewing this on YouTube. But I wanted to say thank you guys so much. The support that you guys have shown us over here at the Giant Topic is something that we don't take for granted. It's something that we are eternally grateful for. We've seen quite, and I mean quite, the boom in our social medias all across within the last year, even despite us not posting on this YouTube channel that much. I just want to give you guys a quick shout out and show you guys my appreciation. Thank you guys so much. It does not go unnoticed. We look forward to your continued support as we pump out more content on this channel. We look forward to seeing you in the live streams, and we sure look forward to seeing you in the comments section below. So, with that being said, thank you, and let's jump into this game preview. The New York Giants will be heading on the road to face the Washington Commanders in what, in my opinion, is a big game for the New York Giants. And there's quite a bit of storylines heading into this game, right? We now know at this point, which I know you guys have probably seen your other Giants content creators that you go and watch speak about it as well. But it looks like Andrew Thomas is not going to be in this game. We'll see whether they decide to go James Hudson or Marcus Bowe at left tackle. We'll talk about that. At this point in time, it looks like Malik Neighbors is good to go, which that's a huge plus for this offense, something that they can't afford to not have, on top of Andrew Thomas looking like he's not going to be in the lineup. And outside of that, everything else looks good to go. I know that there was some worries about, Graham Cano, who in recent years always seems to be dealing with an injury. Haven't seen anything as of yet, and I'm recording this at 107 Central Time. Haven't seen anything yet in regards to Graham Gano, but if that changes, be sure to let us know in the comments. But going into this game, knowing that Andrew Thomas is probably not going to be in the lineup, there is a little bit of concern. But with that concern comes an adjustment, right? I thought going into this game, if Andrew Thomas was healthy and ready to go, we would see, a mixed bag from Mike Kafka, who's going to be calling the plays this year. But I thought, we would see a more pass-happy offense than we would see, if Andrew Thomas wasn't in the lineup. So with him looking like he's not in the lineup, I fully expect the New York Giants to run the ball a lot in this game, which I don't think is the end of the world, in my honest opinion. Tyrell Tracy, second year in this offense, looking like he's looking to prove something this year. He's someone that I'm personally excited to see how he plays this year with Cam Scottibo behind him. How are they going to look as a dynamic duo? But I do think that we are going to see a heavy run game. And I think, in my honest opinion, that will benefit the New York Giants. This Washington defense, in my honest opinion, leaves a lot to be desired, despite them having some talent over there on that defense. I do like Frankie Louvu. I do think that despite his age, I think not Fred Warner. Oh my goodness. Bobby Wagner. My God. I think that Bobby Wagner has been playing fairly solid, for the production and the level of play that he's at right now at his age. I think that he's playing fairly solid. So they have some pieces on that defense, but in recent years, the Washington Commanders have been known to have a pretty deep defensive line, and that's not really the case now. You have arguably, I would say, your best D lineman go to the Dallas Cowboys this past offseason in Dante Fowler, who produces 10, I believe it was 10 and a half sacks for the Washington Commanders. Now, you do replace him with Von Miller, who, even coming off of that injury, still has one of the quickest get-offs that we've seen in the NFL. But in my honest opinion, I don't think that this is a defensive line that the Giants are necessarily worrying about, as opposed to the Commanders' offense. So I think the New York Giants will, I think they'll play it a little bit safe with running the ball a lot with Tyrone Tracy, and Cam Scatterbo as well as Devin Singletary. I also think we could see a lot of quick passing in this game. In my honest opinion, I think when you look at the Washington Commanders, this is a defense that can really be had. Their secondary, having Marshawn Lattimore, who, if he's going to be following Malik Neighbors, this whole game, I mean, if you're Russell Wilson, you have to feel confident in that matchup. And that's no slouch at Marshawn Lattimore. Don't get me wrong. But Malik, I mean, he's just in a class of his own, right? I mean, Malik Neighbors is arguably, I mean, in my opinion, at least, I think he's arguably at worst the second best receiver in this division. I would put CeeDee Lamb ahead of AJ Brown, but that's just me personally. If I'm Russell Wilson, I'm looking at that matchup and I'm saying to myself, okay, this is someone that I could go to, and this is someone that I could go to early and often. I like this matchup here. Then you look at Darius Slayton and you say to yourself, okay, this is someone that could stretch the field if my offensive line can give me some time. I still have the moon ball in my back pocket, so I can get the ball to Darius Slayton. I don't think Wandale is going to be that much of a factor in this game, if I'm being transparent with you guys. I just really feel that this offense is going to rely heavy on the run. I feel like we will see a lot of play action pass with Russell Wilson. We might see some boots with Russell Wilson as well. But we'll see. I mean, I'm very intrigued to see Mike Kafka calling plays now. And arguably, right, just look at the roster. Look at the last time that Mike Kafka was calling plays for the New York Giants and the level of talent that he had around him for when he was calling plays. And then you compare it to now. It's night and day. It's in my opinion, it's an upgrade. So how is this offense going to look? I think that's something that a lot of fans are very curious to see. How is Russell Wilson going to look under center? And I think, me personally going into this game, I think this is a game where the Giants could score anywhere between 21 to 28 points, which I know that might seem, a little brash. I know some Giants fans, you guys might be calling me crazy. I could already see it. People in the comments section saying 28 points. When was the last time this Giants team put up 28 points that wasn't the preseason? I hear you. I get it. But this isn't Daniel Jones under center. This isn't Tim Boyle. This isn't Drew Lock. This is arguably the best quarterback that they've had since having Eli Manning under center. And while that's not saying entirely too much, because that just speaks to how bad the quarterback play has been since Eli's retired, for Giants fans, and let alone the Giants organization, it says a lot because we saw, in my opinion, a handicapped version of Brian Dable's offense since Brian Dable has been with the New York Giants. I mean, we know that there's been a lot of things in this offense that he hasn't been able to really get out of this offense due to the bad quarterback play that we have had. But having Russell Wilson under center, that definitely will help. Having Malik Neighbors will absolutely help. And I fully expect the New York Giants to try to take advantage of this Washington defense. Whereas you look at the Cowboys defense or you look at the Chiefs defense, even though they didn't look that great last night, I feel like they would feel more comfortable, trying to take advantage of Washington's defense, knowing that Washington's offense could potentially score a lot of points on them as well. Now let's transition that to the Washington's offense side of the ball. Now, Jaden Daniels' second year with the Washington Commanders, and you bring in Deebo Samuel, you bring in Laramie Tunsil, you bring in Josh Connolly. They've made some great additions to the offensive side of the ball, and you have to tip your cap, to Dan Quinn and them over there because they've done a great job on the offensive side of the ball, unlike the defensive side, like I said. But you bring in Deebo, who I think will really help their screen game a lot. Cliff Kingsbury runs a lot of screens. He'll do that on third downs and really challenge your defenders to do something about it. And, you bringing in a Deebo Samuel, someone that's not easy to take down in open space, someone that's known for housing screens, someone that could help take the pressure off of Terry McLaurin. I mean, the Giants are going to have their hands full. Let's just be very transparent here. On the defensive side of the ball, the Giants are going to have their hands full. Now, I fully expect them to play Abdul Carter as a quarterback spy, as well as mixing in some pass rush snaps here and there. But I expect Abdul Carter to play a quarterback spy in this game, which he should. You have guys like Burns, Kayvon, Dex in the middle. Those guys can contain Jaden Daniels for as long as you can potentially contain him for, because he's so hard to contain. And then when you have a guy like Abdul Carter who, started off his career as an outside linebacker, he has that experience. He has experience, playing that quarterback spy. And what better way to get your feet wet in the NFL than to go against a quarterback like Jaden Daniels? Now, I don't think necessarily we're going to see a lot of success between the matchups between Kayvon and Laramie Tunsil. We might see, Brian Burns win a snap or two going against Laramie Tunsil. I'm intrigued to see how Abdul Carter looks going against Laramie Tunsil and Josh Connerly as well. But this defense, like I said, is going to have their hands full. Now, looking at the secondary for the New York Giants, we now know that it's looking like Cordell Flott may be playing first, second down, and then they'll switch to Deontay Banks come third down and fourth down packages. And in my honest opinion, I mean, you want to give the position to the best player, right? But it is a little bit concerning that their first round pick is now competing for cornerback 2 when he was drafted to be our cornerback 1. Now, putting Deontay Banks as your cornerback 2 should theoretically help Deontay Banks, right? Now, we don't know if Shane Bowen is going to have Paulson Adebo travel. I feel like if he's not traveling, it's really going to hurt Deontay Banks because then teams are just going to line up their best wide receivers on Deontay Banks. And, it's just they're going to win every single time. But if you do have Paulson Adebo who can travel, who can play both sides of the field, I feel like that will really help out Deontay Banks and Cordell Flott. Now, Cordell Flott, he had a pretty good preseason. I mean, he's looked good here and there. Didn't really look good against the Dolphins when we played them a couple of years ago. But at the same time, I think obviously the position should go to the best player, who I think is Deontay Banks. But if he can't win this position at cornerback 2 and it goes to Cordell Flott, much respect to Cordell Flott, now the Giants have another hole at cornerback 2, and that's going to be something that they're going to have to address going into the draft or free agency next year. The Giants cannot afford to have Deontay Banks not have that cornerback 2 position, but he has to fully earn it. Okay, he has to earn it. Can't be given to him. And I think the New York Giants, by doing this, are telling Deontay Banks, get your shit together. Putting it nicely, get your shit together. Let's go. We drafted you where we drafted you for a reason. And when you look back at it, you could argue that they should have selected Joey Porter Jr., who went to the Steelers, but ultimately they went with Banks. And will Deontay Banks ever turn his head around? Probably not. I know that there's some corners who have been very successful in the league, not turning their head around. And, watching that Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys game on Thursday night had me concerned about that because George Pickens is no slouch. Don't get me wrong. I love Debo, but George Pickens is a better player. And having someone in Dak Prescott who's not afraid to take shots downfield and having a guy in Deontay Banks who can't turn his head around, it's not looking good. And I fully expect Jaden Daniels to take advantage of that as well. Deontay Banks is going to have his hands full, whether that's lining up against Deebo Samuel, whether that's lining up against Terry McLaurin. He's going to have his hands full. But I think that, whether it's him, whether it's Flott, both of these guys are competitors. They're professional athletes for a reason, and I think they'll be fine. And the reason why I think that they'll be fine is this Giants defensive line. I know we just briefly highlighted over Kayvon and Abdul and Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence, but the New York Giants have arguably the best defensive line, at least on paper, in the entire NFL. And when you have guys like Kayvon, like Burns, like Abdul Carter, like Dexter Lawrence, there's absolutely no reason why the New York Giants shouldn't be terrorizing backfields of opposing offenses. And this should this really, I think when you look at this Commanders offensive line, I mean, this should be a game where this Giants defensive line sees quite a bit of success. I think this offensive line is, in my opinion, tied with the New York Giants in the division. I think Dallas has a better offensive line. I for sure think Philly has a better offensive line. Um, and in my opinion, I don't think the Giants' offensive line is that much different than the Washington Commanders' offensive line. With that being said, I could see this be a game where this defense leaves with 3 sacks or potentially 4 sacks on the Washington Commanders, given the level of talent and depth that they have on their defense to get to the quarterback. And it's going to be very exciting. A lot of fans have been very, very excited for week 1 just to see how Abdul Carter is going to look. And, I think we'll see him play a lot of off ball linebacker. But I also think we'll see him, line up at edge. I think we might see him in the interior. I mean, it's going to be very interesting seeing how they use Abdul in this game going against Jaden Daniels, who can really make you look like you have no idea what you're doing out there. And for me personally, that has to be something that the Giants really focus in on, is not just Cliff Kingsbury and him calling screens and this offense, but containing Jaden Daniels and making sure that they can get to him early and often. Because if you give Jaden Daniels time, we have seen time and time again, he will make a fool of you. He will make a fool of your defense, whether that's with his arm, whether that's with his legs. He will get it done. Now, some people do believe that Jaden Daniels will take a step back this year due to a sophomore slump, which I'm kind of leaning in that direction, just looking at it from a historical standpoint, right? I mean, we just saw CJ Stroud take a step back last year, which I think there was more to him taking a step back than just CJ Stroud taking a step back. I think there was different elements that played into it. But we've seen it time and time again where, sophomore quarterbacks do tend to take a little bit of a step back. And we'll see if that's the case with Jaden Daniels. I don't think necessarily that they go back to the NFC Championship, but I do think that they will contend for the playoffs. I do think that they're a team that could contend for a second place in this division. And they're a team that teams have to take seriously when they line up against them. And in my honest opinion, I mean, if you're talking about what the Giants need to do to win this game, the Giants needs to score points. It's as simple as that. Outside of obviously containing Jaden Daniels and getting to Jaden Daniels, the offense needs to score points. Time and time again, we have seen this New York Giants team get down into the red zone and not score. And that's something that even running back Tyrone Tracy was speaking about on the Nightcap podcast with Shannon Sharp and Chad Ochocinco Johnson, where he said, one of the things that's going to be a big success for this New York Giants and a focal point for this New York Giants offense going forward is scoring in the red zone. We can't have these games where we're just scoring field goals and expected to win them. That's just not realistic. So in my honest opinion, again, while I do think that they will lean more towards the run, I do think that we'll see quite a few deep shots. I don't think Russ is scared to take those shots, especially against this secondary. I think if they do put Bo at left tackle, because I do have more confidence in Marcus Bo than James Hudson, I think this offensive line will be okay. I really do. They're going to be tested. I feel like if you're Dan Quinn, you put your best defender on whoever's going to be lining up at left tackle. Jermaine Illuminor, he's no slouch. He's playing for a contract. John Michael Schmitz, you're playing to hopefully not get your position replaced next year via the draft or free agency. So whoever's at left tackle, they're going to have their hands full. But, unfortunately, this is what happens when Andrew Thomas can't stay on the field. Next guy needs to step up. But this team needs to score points. They have to. This team has struggled scoring points where, last year, anytime we scored a touchdown, it felt like it was worth actually celebrating because how little they were getting into the end zone. That can't be the case this year. The Giants cannot afford to have an offense that's stagnant, an offense that can't score points. There's no excuse for it. You have better quarterback play. You have a year two Malik Neighbors. You have Darius Slayton, who you re-signed and extended. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for it whatsoever. You also have Theo Johnson, who, should be able to have a pretty solid game against, Frankie Louvu or Bobby Wagner. Albeit him getting his targets, he should be able to have a good game against them. But it's going to come down to scoring points. Like I said, if the Giants can score points, if they can put pressure on Jaden Daniels, I don't see why they can't win this game. I really don't. Now, again, we'll see. We'll see how this defense looks. We'll see how Washington's defense looks. Because at least on paper, from what we've seen last year, it's a defense that leaves a lot to be desired. And you have a lot of aging vets on that defense that you're banking on. I don't have the utmost confidence in that situation. But I am very intrigued to see how Mike Kafka calls the game for the New York Giants. I think a lot of fans are excited to see, or at least intrigued to see, how this run defense is going to look. Is it going to be Roy Robinson Harris that gets the call that lines up next to Dex? Is it going to be Darius Alexander? We'll see. I think that Roy Robinson Harris deserves that spot. I think he's looked the best. I wasn't too high on him when we had signed him, but I think he's looked really good. He's looked good in the run game, but he's also been able to get to the quarterback as well. And you can make an argument that he's looked like our best interior defensive lineman since Aaron Robinson to pair with Dexter Lawrence. But we'll see how these guys come along. They are going to be tested, and if this Giants team wants any shot in this division, they have to be physical. They have to be able to score points, and their defense is going to have to help this offense with making sure that this offense could stay on the field and making sure that the opposing offenses could stay off of the field. But I think this could be a 28-21 type of a game. I do have the New York Giants winning this game. I try not to give score predictions. They're very hard to predict, but I'm going to give the New York Giants the win. I'm going to say 31-21. Now, I know I might get killed for that in the comments, especially if the Giants lose. But just like I said, I feel like with the better quarterback play, with them leaning more towards the run, this Giants defensive line going against this Washington Commanders offensive line, the Giants have a shot. It's just, can they execute and can they not make the mental mistakes that they've made in recent years that have really hurt this team? And can they score points? For me, if they could do all that, no reason why they shouldn't win this game. But let me know what you guys think. I really want to hear what you guys have to say. I really want to know how you guys feel about this game. What are some of your takeaways? What are some of your keys to victory for the New York Giants in this game? Do you think the New York Giants will win, or do you think the New York Giants will lose? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But until then, we'll see you guys after the game. We'll be doing either a live stream or a video after the game talking about it. Look forward to seeing you guys there. But until then, we'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.